I don't care. Call me a boomer. But I miss the old TNA. I really, truly do. And I've even done videos about it before on this channel. But that feeling doesn't go away. Like when you go back to the 2010s, especially that time frame from like 2010 to 2013 or so, wrestling as a whole was really, really bad. But it was fun sometimes to rip on both the WWE and TNA. And TNA always had that redeeming quality where it was like, yeah, it was fun to rip on them. Others can rip on them to a point, absolutely. But god damn it, there was that something special about them in terms of the can't get right fucking kids, but you always hope maybe they could figure it out. Because you were so desperate for a viable, respectable alternative to WWE. And, you know, if you ever wanted to have like a window into when TNA really started to go wrong, it's when I stopped watching, right? Because when you think about the old Off the Rope Show channel and the foundation that became this channel, like, it wasn't just built on WWE related content. A lot of it was built on TNA content. Weekly Impact reviews, pay-per-view reviews, all of that shit. The build up to Sting and Hogan at Bound for Glory, brother. No, we're not going to talk about him. You already know. It's 2025. And he just won't die. No. This is not the video for that. We will address that soon enough. But you get my point. So, you know it was bad when I stopped watching. And even though all of these years later, like a disease, they've still managed to linger and they've kind of evolved and be morphed into something else. They still technically exist, but for all intents and purposes to me, you could bring back the old name, you could bring back the old logo, you could try all you might. TNA is dead to me. I don't think I'll ever change in that opinion. And I can't imagine they're doing anything that would appeal to me enough to say, wow, I got to start watching TNA again. Come on. Sometimes the past is better left in the past, right? So, in some news that dropped the other day that wasn't all that surprising, I don't think, because you can see this potentially happening. WWE and TNA and their parent company have reached a multi-year partnership that creates crossover opportunities between the two companies and their talents. And yeah, my first reaction to this is fuck that. Fuck TNA for selling out. Fuck WWE for doing this. They don't have to partner with everybody. They don't have to own everything. They don't have to do this. They're doing it just for the fuck all of it. And then for me, it's like all of what TNA used to stand for and all of what TNA used to represent. And this is where we're at now. Fuck modern wrestling, right? But then I realize again, it's not that TNA. It's not the real TNA. It's this bastardized, distant cousin version of TNA, so who gives a shit? My reaction to this is a couple of fold. First, I thought it was hilarious in the first part of the press release that they put out was how WWE sunned the fuck out of TNA. And they had them sports because I'm going to quote here, right? The first sentence of this release. I've got it up. Quote, WWE, part of TKO Group Holdings and TNA Wrestling, one of the world's top wrestling brands and the subsidiary of Anthem Sports and Entertainment, today announced a multi-year partnership aimed at creating unprecedented crossover opportunities within WWE and TNA programming for NXT superstars and TNA wrestling stars, unquote. Right from fucking there. WWE is letting it know from Jump Street that, yeah, this doesn't apply to the main roster, brother. That doesn't work for me, brother. Our NXT superstars, our third-rate show that's on the fucking CW. Oh, it's network TV. It kind of, but is it really? The NXT talents, those are superstars. TNA wrestling, they're just stars. And then they go on and they release the very next sentence and it's talking about how it's going to garner exposure for the key programming for both companies. Of course, leading first, naturally, with flagship shows such as NXT, which airs live on the CW, and TNA Impact, select WWE Premium Live events and TNA pay-per-views. It doesn't even mention in the second sentence where the fuck Impact is shown each week. You got to scroll later down into the release to see, hey, where is TNA's Impact show aired? It's on Access TV. Oh, that's a winner. TNA Plus in the U.S. Oh, it's distributed internationally. Yippee, Sportsnet 360. You had to go down like 5 or 6 fucking paragraphs in order to see it. Well, I guess for those wondering if they're actually going to have 30 women in the Royal Rumble every year, this is why they do it, right? Like, this is the type of unimpactful, like, nerd fantasy shit that I don't even know if it means that much, but, you know, you could have some of the NXT talents appear on TNA, which they've done, vice versa. Some of the TNA talent appear on NXT. It's no huge deal, right? It just isn't. It's not going to make much of a difference. Creates a channel, if you're looking at it bigger picture from WWE, that makes sense in terms of helps develop and foster relationships with currently contracted TNA talents and potentially creates a one-up advantage if you're thinking about the larger wrestling landscape compared to AEW when you're going after talent. Good place to be, right? Also a really good example of where Tony Khan and AEW flat out fucking fumbled the bag. Like, this should have been theirs. It was well positioned where it could have been theirs. This should have been an opportunity while Vince was still around in some capacity where AEW went to TNA and kept working with them, right? And went to New Japan and kept working with them and locked up every fucking buddy around and left WWE in its own island. But incompetent leadership killed all of that. But yeah, other than the thought of like TNA and WWE working together making me sick, and it not just being, and it's not just being WWE having to send a clearly not happy to be there Christian Cage to make an appearance on Impact Wrestling because of some bullshit. That's a great fucking story, but that's one thing. But to sit there and like have this be an agreement, like, yeah, it will never sit well with me, even if they are like the bastardized distant cousin of what really was TNA. But like I said, to me, if you watch NXT or you watch Impact Wrestling, I don't know why, but whatever, like, good for you. You get new possibilities for new matchups. Who gives a crap? This is mostly a big nothing burger, so there's nothing to rage about. It just, God, I never thought that I would sit here and say that WWE and TNA have entered a multi-year agreement. What a fucked up world this is. Good Lord.